busy.
What's going on YouTube? This is BoxingWave back with another video. Make sure you hit subscribe. Glasgow against Cunningham. Excuse me. I really wasn't impressed with neither fighter. I'm gonna be very honest. I was scoring the fight. You know, I had Steve up the first few rounds. I thought his jab was very effective. You know, he landed a right hand here and there. But the rounds was very close, okay? I think the first 4 rounds out of 5, I gave Steve like maybe 3 or 4 of those rounds. I think the 5th round is where Steve tried to really engage with Glasgow early in the round. I didn't like that. He looked very sloppy. He started getting hit with some good shots. That was the round Steve was like, woo, woo. He was doing his Ric Flair. I didn't like that round from him, okay? And I'm honestly, after that round, Steve never really looked the same to me. I thought he looked good in the earlier rounds. He looked better than Glasgow. I thought he was outboxing him, and I thought he had the more effective jab. But outside of that, I wasn't really impressed with him, okay? I really wasn't, you know. Even his body shots were good. But after that round, he seemed to fell off. You know, I don't know if he was fatigued. You know, I don't know if there was issues with his conditioning, but he looked very, very sloppy for the end of the fight, for the rest of the fight. Glasgow always was, Steve was always landing. I mean, you could look at the stats. Steve was landing more shots. I thought Glasgow was landing the more effective shots. You know, I think every time he hit Steve with a good shot, Steve wobbled just a bit. He staggered a bit. He wasn't badly hurt ever in the fight, but I thought Glasgow punches were a little bit more effective, even though Steve was a little bit more consistent and he landed more punches. Actually, I think Glasgow had the better accuracy between the two, okay? But Steve was more busier. He was busier in the ring. He was throwing more punches, and he was landing a lot more. The second half of the fight, there was like, I was scoring the fight, and there was too many rounds that I gave it a draw, okay? If I was a judge, okay, I would probably give the fight a draw. Neither one of them did enough to win the fight, in my opinion, okay? I know a lot of people were upset with the outcome of the fight, okay? A lot of people thought Steve won the fight. Me personally, I thought it was a draw, but I didn't like the scorecards, okay? I thought the scorecards, I think one of the judges scored it a little bit too wide, all right? I didn't like that. It made me feel like they were going to give any close round to Glasgow after I saw those scorecards, okay? So I wasn't impressed with the scorecards, but I wasn't impressed with either fighter. I don't think either fighter did enough to win. I didn't even think Glasgow beat Rossi in his last fight, Derek Rossi, and he actually spoke on that in one of the interviews he did in the during the fight. I think it's post-fight, or was it like one of the interviews that they did before the fight or whatever. I didn't like Glasgow's performance then. And, you know, with Steve keep getting into these fights. I thought he beat Adamic twice. Okay, I think one of the fights was a draw. I think they gave Adamic the second fight. I can't remember. But I can't say it was a robbery. It definitely wasn't a robbery. But if you're looking and basing it just on the scorecards, I think one of those scores was a little bit too wide. I believe they gave Steve only 4 rounds. I thought that was kind of crazy, but not. A lot of those rounds were close, man. It was close. Now, it's definitely not a robbery, but, you know, I thought Steve should have done more, man. And he looked good in the earlier rounds. You know, I thought he was winning pretty clearly. And then I don't know what happened. I think that 5th round, when they started exchanging a little bit, trying to make more of a fight, I think that's where things changed and Glasgow started winning more rounds, okay? I think Glasgow did win the last 3 rounds for sure, though. I'm pretty sure that he won. I picked him to win the last 3. But before that, I only had him winning a round here and there, you know? So I thought it was close. I thought it was a close fight. You know, they gave it to Glasgow. I don't know if they're just trying to set him up to be Klitschko's next victim, you know, because he's on HBO and they rather give it to him. They give it to Steve Cunningham because Glasgow is undefeated. But It wasn't a great fight, man. It really wasn't. I was expecting more than Steve. Steve gave us one of the fight of the years last year. Um, and Glasgow, two back-to-back like fights where questionable wins. It's not really good to me, man. Especially for a guy that's ranked so high in the sanctioning bodies. He's ranked so high up there. If you check on box rank, I think he's like ranked number 3 or 4. I haven't checked in a while, but I remember seeing Glasgow always ranked pretty high up there, especially after he beat Adamic. Okay. Um, but I don't know what's gonna happen with Steve, man. I feel bad for him, because he can't, when he gets these close fights, they're not giving him the decision. But I expected more from Steve. I thought Steve could have done a lot better than what he did, and I thought the fight should have been a draw. I don't think neither one of them did enough to win the fight. So that's it. That's my opinion on the fight, man. I ain't gonna call it a robbery, but at the same time, Glasgow didn't do enough to win, not in my opinion. Too many of those fights were draws, ties to me. Like at least three of those rounds were like so close that I couldn't even score it because neither one of them did enough. You know, there was no consistency in the fight from either side. All right. So anyway, make sure you subscribe and check me on the next video.